for fraudsters operating in the area.
The scam is simple. Use the high demand for property to force renters to pay deposits and rent up front for a property which either doesn't exist or wasn't the scammers to rent out. According to figures released on Wednesday by UK Finance, purchase scams like this one increased by 43% between 2022 and 2023. Jasper was caught out by one of them.
The normal route that people go about finding flats is through the Facebook groups. I found this flat.
It looked legit.
It looked absolutely legit. I mean, the flat was an existing flat. I looked it up on Google, and the landlord registration number, everything was in order.
And you know with the demand that you have to move quick.
You have to move quick because otherwise someone else would go in and just poach it right away.
Demand was high, and Jasper was told he needed to show he was serious about the property to secure it. He was told he needed to pay a deposit, and quickly, so called his mum.
He phoned up one day and said, Mum, I've found a great flat, great price, and I've spoken to the company and they've interviewed 46 candidates, but they've offered me the flat, but we have to give the deposit by the end of today. I, of course, jumped on the phone with the landlord and had multiple chats with him, and he was incredibly charming. And he, of course, floored me with flattery about my wonderful son. Like any mother, I was delighted to hear that. Just very persuasive, definitely gave you the feeling that, yes, my child is in good hands here.
Feeling reassured, Jane set about organising the bank transfer of the deposit.
When did you first notice something was going awry?
In the pressure he was putting on me to get the money by the end of the day. And then an hour later, he was back on the phone. He said, I'm so sorry, but I've made this terrible mistake. This is my fault. But we actually have to take the first month's rent as well as the deposit. So I need another £2,500.
Scared of the prospect of her son not having somewhere to stay for university, Jane was tricked into sending £3,773 to the scammer. But Elise was never sent through.
Jasper, after all is said and done, how do you feel about the scammer?
The scammer is taking advantage of young adults who come from all over the world and just don't know any better, and robbing them blind of thousands and thousands of pounds. So for me, it's despicable.
Jasper and his mum lost nearly £4,000 and still had to find another place for him to live. This is far from an isolated incident. This student doesn't want to be identified, as the scam has already taken a toll on her mental health. We'll call her Emma. She lost over £1,000 to this scam.
So this one's in town, and it's by like a private landlord. It's a little expensive, but it's not over the top for what I'm seeing in town. So I message the person, and they're very nice, and then starts talking about how, oh, there's a long list of people who are interested, but you contacted me first.
The scammer was using the state of the rental market to pressure Emma into acting fast.
One time there was one flat that we applied to that I sent the full application in 11 minutes after the flat had been posted, and we were too late. 11 minutes, like it was insanely fast.
Like Jane, Emma asked a lot of questions, which the scammer was all too happy to answer on the phone. Convinced by a charming personality, she sent the £1,000 deposit, scared of losing out.
When you first realised that £1,000 had gone, can you just articulate your emotions when the penny dropped?
I think you'd have to say it really went through the 5 stages of grief, which sounds a little silly. I wasn't necessarily angry immediately, I'd say. I think I was really just in shock. I think I probably confused at first, and I don't have a better word for it than just sad.
The problem is rife. After just a few hours of research, the Morning Live team identified at least 8 properties advertised which were confirmed as fraudulent. We found the contact details for one scam landlord, so I decided to give them a call, as I wanted answers.
Hello. Hello, it's Gordon Smart here. I'm phoning from BBC Morning Live. Just so you know, I am recording this call. I'm just phoning to ask why you're posting fake properties online. And he's hung up.
Once they've got your money, or you push them for answers, scammers suddenly stop talking. But there are steps you can take to avoid ever having to engage with one at all. Catherine Hart from Trading Standards has some advice for anyone looking to rent right now.
First of all, you have to take time and do a little bit of research. So do something like Google reverse imaging. That will tell you whether that is a stock photograph. Don't fall for high pressure tactics. Quite often they will ask you for a deposit and then suddenly they'll be wanting month's rent in advance. Best advice is obviously to go and view that property firsthand. If you can't do that, then seek advice from perhaps your university housing officers or actually getting somebody to go and check on your behalf.
If you have been scammed and you have to report it, what do you need to do and how do you do it?
First of all, do not panic. That's really, really important. Please contact your bank and then report it. If you're in Scotland, go and seek advice through Advice Direct Scotland or report it to Action Fraud.
So with a few key checks and by asking the right questions, you can make sure your hard-earned cash doesn't fall into the hands of the scammers. And if you are embarrassed and you have made a mistake, don't worry, just make sure you report it.